Robin will die because the Joker wants revenge, but you can prevent it with a telephone call.
1-900-720-2660. The Joker fails and Robin lives.
1-900-720-2666. The Joker succeeds and Robin will not survive. Plot twist, this happened like 40 years ago. We already know what happens. Welcome back to another episode of the Thompson's Comic Corner. Today, if you knew what that little insert was from, that is from A Death in the Family, the original, written by Jim Starlin. I invited Justin from the Iron Age of comic books because we just had such a blast last time.
Yeah. Hey ho.
So here we are, and I picked this book because I'd never read it before, but everybody knows about it. So I figured, hey, we'll have fun with it. So Robin dies,
Yeah. That's
and the
episode
Joker
over.
becomes, yeah, and the Joker becomes a diplomat for Iran.
Yeah.
Saying
That
that in 2026 is a little rough.
yeah, that definitely is a thing that happens in this comic book.
So this comic book was written in 1989, so or 88, 88.
Yeah.
So you take, you know, that's what was kind of going on in 1988. And, Superman is leashed by the government. That's kind of weird. We'll get into that.
hmm
So have you ever read this before I insisted that we read this?
Yeah, I had not read this before. Um we're recording some episodes on Nightfall right now on our podcast. And one thing that we talk about there is that like I didn't read a lot of Batman comics from this era. Like as much as I like Dark Knight Returns and Year One and like all the all the big stuff from this era, like I didn't so much care for like the changes that they sort of wrought onto Batman. Like Batman is just so miserable in this period. Like, and Gotham City is so hopeless. The body counts escalate. It's just like not. It's not fun, right, to read. And like, because like this book literally opens up like the first caption is like Batman being like, "Yep, I was tracking down a child pornography ring." Right. So like it's that stuff right away. And this is a comic where like a man beats a child to death with a crowbar in front of his mother, right? So it's like it's the sort of thing that like I sort of always resisted going to this. So I was pleased to actually like check it out for myself and not just like make assumptions.
Yeah, same for me, man. I had never read it, but I was like, I have this show now, so like, you can't just read like dud stories all the time or like when I first started this, if you go like back to like Spotify and you listen to some of the old episodes,
Yeah.
brother, I picked some like really bad books. And because it was something that I had never tried, and I'm like, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta sprinkle in a couple of like everybody knows.
hmm
But for me personally, I didn't know. So it was kind of cool to see like, they think that Lady Shiva could be the his mom. And it's kind of funny that like Bruce knows who she is the whole time, and you know it because she's like, well, we meet again. And he knew. And he's just like, well, I'm just gonna let him find out that I know damn well that she is not his mother.
Well, it's who is Jason Todd's dad that he had Lady Shiva's number in his
Right.
like address book, right? Like like you don't just like it's not like oh I met her at the library one day, right? Like how did this happen?
Right. Like, and it just makes me laugh because the continuity is kind of weird because Jason Todd's dad pre-crisis is different than post-crisis. And same with the mom. So like everything kind of changes.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if you're not caught up with Crisis, Infinite or what is it? Infinite Crisis or Crisis on Infinite
Crisis
Earth.
on Infinite Earths. Yep.
Yeah, if you've never read it, go read it. I haven't read it, but I recommend it because if you want to know like exactly what happened and why everybody hates Jason Todd, that's a good starting point. Because obviously they hated him. I mean, you had the option. You heard our little thing at the beginning. You hear it. You had a chance. And those people spent their like 55 cents a minute and
Yeah.
chose to kill him. And Jim Starlin gets shit for it. And it ain't even his fault,
I mean,
technically.
well, so have you heard the rumor or like this? I don't know if it's an urban legend or what that like Denny O'Neil will say that like, yeah, I heard that some lawyer or something in Maryland set up like an auto dialer to keep calling in for the death or whatever. And I don't know if that's true, but that's a story that he always tells. And so like if that is true, there's somebody who spent a lot of money to make sure that this like that this child gets murdered.
I mean, listen, I believe so. Jim Starling, all right, I've heard, all right, Last Comic Shop podcast did a really good interview when they went to Baltimore Comic Con and they met the man. And he told the story that, you know, he didn't like Robin. He would try to not use Robin, that he just wanted to solely be Batman. So the idea was already there.
Mhm.
And I forget what story it was. They wanted to do it was an AIDS story, like a character died from AIDS.
Right.
And they put a thing in like the DC thing, like who do you want to use? Like what character? And he said that he stuffed the box full of Robin, Jason Todd's name. And
That's
they got thrown out because they could tell that it was his handwriting, that all of them had the same handwriting.
yeah.
And it's like, all right, so that happened in like 87. And it's like 88. It's like, all right, now you have another chance to kill him. And it's like, hey, how about we just give the fans the opportunity? And it's like, well, damn, guys, all right, you didn't have to take us so serious. So, and that's, he also says that that was the job, like this pretty much cost him his job at DC because the like promotional side, the lunch boxes and everything, they were pissed that they killed off Robin, but in their
Mhm.
eyes, Robin is still Dick Grayson, not Jason Todd.
Right.
So, and hey, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have the Infinity Gauntlet. Just saying. The Infinity Saga is all because he got fired from Batman and Robin.
Yeah, something to think about.
Yeah, that's crazy. And the sad thing is, this is actually a really decent. You're getting into Nightfall, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, Nightfall's great story overall, but some of that stuff is batshit crazy, right? This is good, and it's getting on the borderline of insanity, but it's still good.
Yeah, I mean there's definitely stuff in Nightfall where like I feel like I did not have to read that. You know,
Right.
everything in here, clearly vital for the story. There is some stuff like as you say, quite on the edge of insanity. In fact, I think the stuff with with the Ayatollah really pushes it over the top. In fact, but
I
yeah, I
mean,
I have to say I enjoyed this.
yeah, I mean, seriously, like, and I understand the idea. All right. So when you're reading this, okay, Jason Todd gets killed. It's very graphic. All right. I'm sure people have seen the panel. I mean, I
Yeah,
have online, like where, it shows the Joker, panel by panel with the crowbar. Okay. After that, all right, Bruce wants to kill the Joker. It's over. He said it multiple times after what you did to Barbara. So this takes place for everybody. This takes place after the Killing Joke. So he's already done that. Okay. The man has done multiple homicides, genocides, murder, whatever you want to call it. He's done it. It literally took him, he kills Jason and then now Batman snapped. Okay. He punches Superman. This is my favorite part. He punches Superman and his hand's hurting. And he's like, I see multiple fractures. He's like, you may want to put that on ice.
right.
I love that. That was so funny. But other than that, though, that Superman personality sucks.
Yeah, I hate the. So I like John Byrne's Superman, like the actual stories, a whole lot. But all the entire conception of Superman as like the super assimilationist, like the yuppie Superman, right? I don't
Yes.
I don't like it the Superman who's always just like whatever my government tells me to do, I will do it, right? And I don't think that's.
It
I mean, like,
sucks.
yeah. I mean, there's definitely like some you can explore that, right? But in these kind of comics, it's always just the knee jerk assumption that like, yeah, Superman will just do whatever he is ordered to do.
Well, I'll tell you what, Jim Starlin made sure of it, Starling, and I don't like it. I don't like the personality of Superman. Now, the art in this book is it's kind of like if you go back to when I talk about the death of Superman and the reign of Superman.
Yeah.
This is like the when I think of late 80s, early 90s comic book superhero comic books, this is exactly what I think of.
Mhm.
And this is a Perro, right?
Yeah, yeah, which is funny because like I mean he goes back to like working on Batman in the 70s. So like this is
Yeah.
even by this point, this is a veteran.
Yeah, and it looks so good. But like what I'm saying is like when I think of like that era, this style, I call it like the DC house style, and it
Mhm.
just looks so good. It does.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely like I mean at this point, right? Like all the like slick and glossy artists are over at Marvel, and then like a couple of years from now they'll be at Image Comics, right? And then like Marvel will try to snap up everybody else, but like all the like reliable, drafts people who are like good at dramatic anatomy and storytelling and like just drawing backgrounds, right? Very, very basic stuff. Those guys are all over at DC at this time.
Right. And you say that the backgrounds in this book are actually really good. Now that you
Mhm.
mentioned that, because like I do feel like that I'm in every little weird place that we're in. Like this doesn't take place in Gotham.
Yeah.
We hit three different places and there's sand dunes everywhere and a really nice looking Jeep. I will say Bruce's Jeep looks pretty nice. Um, no shit. It's Bruce Wayne. But like everything around it, like you can just tell that it's not Gotham and it's actually kind of bright and vibrant, even though, they're in like depleted areas and like, you know what I mean? Like it actually does. I don't know. It's kind of refreshing because like you said, at this time, everything's so damn dark and depressing.
Mm.
You actually have a little bit of hope for this story. You actually hope that Jason finds his mom, which again, shocker, he does. I mean, and then he
Yeah.
gets blown up,
Right.
which I don't like his mom, dude. She is a bum.
She yeah, thumbs down on I forget the character's name now, but yeah, that's what the other thing that makes this such like a punch in the because I knew that was coming, right? I knew that was I've known how this ends. I know that's like yeah, she's going to betray you because she has some sort of unspecified dark stuff in her past or whatever, and she's just going to let that happen. And so it is like a bummer, right? I mean, like as I was reading this, it was a bummer to read, and I went into it thinking like this is going to be a stone cold bummer, and like it is, but it's there's I found myself enjoying it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, they kind of like they build it up. So like for us, obviously, this came out almost 40 years ago.
Mm.
We know the ending, but like as a kid or like a young adult reading this, man, like you gotta be on the edge of your seat. Like at the end of it, it's like, oh man, I need to know what happens next. Oh shit, I gotta wait a month. Not me, dude.
Yeah,
I got the fourth printing of the trade paperback. I paid $3 for that sucker. I can go right into it. And that was enjoyable for me.
mm,
So I really liked it. I also like the fact though that when this came out as a trade, it was 3.99.
yeah,
That's a pretty thick trade for 3.99. We
yeah.
always
I mean,
talk about
that's
that on the show. Like I talk about like how cheap things were,
mm,
obviously it was almost 40 years ago, but still.
yeah. I mean, a regular issues cost like 75 cents, so like it is an investment for you to get you know the something spent to spend $4 on a comic book, right? But you get a lot in this one because it's four issues, but two of those are double sized. So this is basically a six issue, trade paperback.
Yeah, and it's damn good. Just saying. Just saying. So, you talk about Frank Miller and The Dark Knight Returns, which I've been very vocal about, which I'm gonna eat crow probably because I have to reread it for another show. But like I've
Hmm.
been very vocal about how I don't care for that book. I've tried to read through it. I didn't
Interesting.
really care for it. Yeah. I don't know what it is about it. I think the 9 panel grid or like the 12 panel grid has like grown on me. But I think when I
Hmm.
first read it, I was not a fan. I didn't like that. I didn't care for like the talking heads,
Hmm.
like the people talking about like everything that's going on because like I just want the action. And then our Batman in this is 6'2", 210. That Batman's like 5'11", 250, jacked.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Batman is definitely a cube of a man.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like when I think of Batman, like growing up, like uh, the Batman that we see is, he has the blue and, the oval on his chest, and he doesn't look happy. He looks sad and depressed, which I mean, I get it, but like still like that's the Batman that I know, and that's what I struggle with The Dark Knight Returns.
Hmm.
And I feel like that's why I like this book better. Also the colors for me, it pops so much more. And I like the Joker design in this. Like this is the original Joker, even with his goofy ass makeup,
Hmm.
which, hey, they might have got that idea for in the Batman movie from this comic book. Just saying. Think about
Yeah,
it.
I do wonder about that. But yeah, I mean the thing with like Jim Aparo drawing this, right, is that like even like I feel like if you had done this exact same story today, right, and you had a modern artist drawing it, it wouldn't have the same impact because it would look, modern and glossy and hyper detailed, and you would sort of be, sort of put in that mind of like, yeah, now this is a product that is pitched at an adult, right? Like all the comics you
Yep.
read now are meant for somebody who is, who is like at least 20 to 30 years old, right? Whereas like
Yeah.
this, if you
Like
look at
us.
yeah, exactly. Like, and you look at this, you open it up, you flip through it. This looks like a children's comic book. Like this looks like something that you would get off the shelf and see this and go like, yeah, I'll get this for my son or my daughter or whoever, right? That's what I think is so subversive about this sort of thing and why that can't be recaptured because now you go into this sort of thing expecting like, yeah, maybe a child will die in in this Batman comic, but
Yeah.
like at this point that's still, that's still up in the air, right? It could have gone either way, it turns out.
Yeah, and again, you monsters, you voted. Not me. I didn't vote. I'm not old enough. I wasn't even alive at that point.
Mm,
Um, it's just I can't. So normally I like to like rate books like I used to when I first started this podcast. Like
mm.
I'd rate it like 5 stars. I've kind of grown away from that, but like I recommend people if I really if I really enjoyed something, I recommend the people to read it. And I recommend people to go read this, even if you know what's gonna happen, and even if you know that it's graphic in the middle, it's still like a fun story because you get like the hope. Like Jason Todd wants to go find his mom. He finds out that his who he thought was his mom's not his mom, and then Swerve, now he finds her and then they die. And you know, even at the point of betrayal, okay, this is where Jason gets a little bit of, pat on the back. Even though she betrays him, he still tries to save her.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
heartbreaking thing, right?
Yeah, because and the problem is, you do that part, right? And you've built up this thing of like Jason makes really bad decisions, and that, maybe he's not the guy who should be Robin. And then his very final moment is like he proved, hey, he understood what it was to be Robin.
Yeah,
And
no, that's a good point.
yeah, and I get, yeah, I just thought of that off the top of my head. I didn't even think about that the first time I read it. So, but like you gave him his defining moment, but it's too late. Like I guarantee, like when the kids read that, like when they saw that moment and how they finished it, I bet you they were like, "Well, damn, man, maybe we should just let him live."
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing that you have to do anytime that you kill off a character, right? Is like you always want to make it so that um it's not so you don't want to have to cheer, right? Like it's reverse horror movie logic because in a horror movie you want this guy to just be like the worst person ever and then they get killed. In here, it's always got to be like, even if you don't like this guy, we're gonna give him like the one moment of redemption, and then we kill him. So like maybe, yeah, because I think a good comic book death should make you go, this was my if even if it was a good story, kind of wish he hadn't done that now because now I now I see what this character is about. There's also like an argument for not killing off comic book characters, I suppose, because somebody can always do something with it, but that's maybe neither here nor there because people pay their money, right? And call their 900 number.
Yeah, and people like to think that Jim Starlin came up with this and was just going to kill him off anyways. Well, I watched this video. Now, granted, in 2025, they did come out with the facsimile edition. They reprinted all four issues, and they did come out. I have it. It's somewhere in my filing cabinet. But they came out with Robin Lives, which was the alternate ending. Well,
Yeah,
Jim
it was
Aparo.
all ready to go. It was all in the drawer, right?
Yeah, it was already written, it was already scripted. They had everything done in 1988. Like it was all done. And all you had to do was call the number and you got what you got. And I find that really cool. So in the video, this video was done in like 1993,
Mm.
and the guy shows the cover of it and he flips into the page right before like Batman is holding Jason Todd's body and he's like, and the world will never see this, and close the book. I was like, what are you doing? So that was 1993. So 22 years later or 32 years later, you get to see it. And I find that really cool that they were able to all these years later release it, and it sold and people were actually really happy with the ending.
Hmm.
So it actually got like a really good review because again, all you did was you didn't change the art, you didn't change anything from that scene. All you did was you changed Batman's facial feature and what he says. That's it. That's all that changes. Now, granted, it has like a little bit, like I think there's like seven more pages afterwards, but it doesn't really change the story because the Joker still becomes a diplomat for
For
Iran.
Iran, yes.
Yeah, and see, that's the only part. I understand why it's written in the story. I get it. Because Batman can't do anything. Because if he does anything, now he's a fugitive of the law and he's breaking, like, I am vengeance. I hold these people accountable. Well, how the hell are you going to hold these people accountable when you're literally breaking national, the FBI don't give a damn. All right. Commissioner Gordon ain't gonna save you. So I find that fun, but you didn't need to involve Superman. I didn't need Superman in this, especially, I am the government Superman.
Right.
And
Yeah,
I
I mean,
feel like that was
I
it. That was the only thing I didn't like.
yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like all the everything about the depiction of Iran or like, because like Iran in here is not specifically Iran. It's like it's basically just like a person of the 1980s idea of what the Middle East is, right? So there's all like I think this storyline has its own Wikipedia page that's like it's all section that's like anti-Islamic sentiment in the in the thing, right? So it's like there's definitely stuff to criticize there. I don't think if I was an editor, right, at DC Comics, I might have said, "Hey, don't put Khomeini in this comic book." That would be my suggestion. So all that stuff, right, is like it's ugly. I don't like, and like again, like you say, like we're living in a very specific moment in history to be going forward with this stuff, right?
Right.
But that is part of this like post-crisis DC universe that we see where like you got Suicide Squad where Ronald Reagan shows up and it's not like a fake president or like the president has his face in shadow. Like it's definitely Ronald Reagan. They call him by name. It's the era of the Justice League that's got a UN charter and like has to play international politics and there's a disaster in Russia and like maybe Russia doesn't want them there, right? So it's definitely like part of this trying to like bring the real world into the DC universe that was happening in the late 80s, and that's interesting, but ill-advised in so many in so many ways.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a time capsule. It's 1989
Yeah.
or 88. I'm not gonna hold it against them. I get it. I see like what, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Politics aside, I understand why they used the character the way they did. Again, Batman, he can't do anything because again, you just said the Justice League have their own uh part in the UN because this is all that's going on.
Right.
And they didn't have to use because that's the leader of Iran, right?
Hmm.
That's who's in it. Yeah, they didn't have to use his likeness, but But on the other hand, again, you just said Ronald Reagan's in there, so you gotta. I give them credit, dude. If you're, they didn't half-ass it; they whole-assed it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like that's the interesting thing about this time in DC history, right? Is that there's like this weird friction of trying to make things as real as you can get it. And like maybe sometimes you go too far, or maybe sometimes you do things that are, again, I'll use I was going to use the blanket phrase ill-advised, right? But
Yeah.
it's interesting to see, and like, I mean, it is like it's yeah, 40 years later, where I guess there's some water under the bridge there, right? But
I mean, to be honest though, look at so they did that those moves where like they bring in like the actual president or actual people. We're
mm,
still talking about it 40 years later. So I
yeah,
mean, they did something right on that. And I find that cool because like you bring up Ronald Reagan. So I have just bought the omnibus for Priest. I can't think Christopher Priest, I think is his first name.
yeah.
He wrote Black Panther.
Oh yeah,
And in
yeah, I
his
love that book.
Yes, and in his Black Panther run, he literally has Bill Clinton chasing
Right.
what's his name on a pair of roller skates, dude. That
Yeah,
had me hysterical. And I was like, I know exactly who that's supposed to be.
yeah.
So the 80s and the 90s, man, were wild. All right. I was only alive for like that last half of the 90s, but it's wild to go back and look at all that. And again, we're sorry, folks, we're talking about Batman Death of the Family, but we're having fun. All right. So leave us alone. Um, it's such a, like I said, Jim Starling wrote so many fun books. And, this one does have the serious undertone, but again, it's a fun story. Go read it. It's very accessible. Like it's on DC Infinite. It's on, you can buy it on Kindle. Actually, I think it's included if you have it's like the Comixology, which it's really watered down. But if you get it through Kindle, you get like 100,000 books for free.
Hmm.
Um, I bought it for trade paperback at $3 at a comic book swap meet. So fourth printing, I mean, it was great shape. I paid $3, paid the cover price.
Yep.
So there's like deluxe editions, there's hardbacks, there's you can get one that has the four issues of that and one that has the 20 oh God, 2010, 2009, whenever the new 52 came out and they did the
Yeah. 2011.
death
Yeah.
in the family or no, death yeah, death in the family
Was it
or
Death of
no,
the Family in
death
2011?
of the
I didn't
family.
read that one, but
Yeah. It is awesome. It is the Joker instead of killing just Robin, he tries to take out all of them except Batman.
hmm.
Yeah, it's actually
I don't
really good.
I don't sometimes I feel like the Joker's escalating body count, like that does, I mean, it kind of bugs me, right? Because it's like if we're talking about like realistic, realistic stuff in our Batman, right? And people are like, well, why doesn't Batman just kill a Joker? Like in real life, serial killers don't escape from prison, right? Like that's a function just of this imaginary world where like a person who's killed like triple digit body count or whatever the Joker would have racked up over the years, that like that guy would not exist, right? In the
He
world.
definitely wouldn't keep going back to the same mental institute every time.
Yeah, so it just sort of like it. I mean, we're all like suspending our disbelief when it's Batman, right? You can't treat this totally realistically, but like when stuff like that happens, it's like, well, man, I don't know that this is a I don't know that this universe works actually as presented. I feel like there's got to be, but like that ruins your story, right? Like if you
Right.
if you actually keep the Joker locked away forever, then like that's realistic, right? But then nobody actually wants the really realistic comic book. So we have this
No,
thing.
just give me
We have the,
presidents
right.
and political leaders that look like them and a man that runs around like a bat, dude. I'm okay with it.
Mm.
We can stop it there. You can even bring the fridge William Perry the GI Joe, dude, and I'm still gonna buy it. That's another book for another time, folks. So, all in all, if you can't tell, we actually really enjoyed this book.
Mm. I will
Now,
say, you said you would recommend it. I don't know that I would recommend this for like people who haven't read it already, just because like it's well drawn. I think it's relatively well written. It's it's so like shocking in its way that it's interesting as like a historical perspective. But like if I was trying to get somebody into like, hey, you should read comic books, right? Like you like the Batman movie or whatever, like read some comic books. I don't know that like I would hand them the book where like here is where Robin gets beat to death with a crow with a crowbar, right?
It doesn't,
I
you
might hold
started
up
out
that
with,
that's me though.
you just started out with, it doesn't get any worse than this, and then you hand it to him. Because that's true. We start the bar really high on like the worst part, and then we just go down, and it's smooth sailing from there. It doesn't get any, well, sometimes it does, but it doesn't get that worse.
Yeah, and we get Tim Drake out of it, who was a character that I like a lot. So
Yeah, we're actually I'm working on getting this is behind the scenes. I'm working on doing the Robin series where he becomes Robin
mhm.
because I actually like that. I just need to find a partner to read that with. So I have the trade paperback. Again, that was another trade paperback that I got probably, oh hell, for like $4. The
It's
books are
great.
out there,
Yeah,
folks.
it's great to have a find like that. Like I go to half price. I've got mine at half price books, right?
I wish we had one of those around here. By God, I do. I really do. Oh, hey, speaking of half price books, you just made me think of something. So we have sponsors on this show now, folks. Half price books ain't one of them. So not only do we play on the radio at Outworld Fleet Radio, great people, great station. We play on Thursdays, which is when the new episodes drop. And then we have a replay on Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Join us. We have fun. Also, we have Hailstorm Vintage, which is a shop out in Dayton. They have two locations, I believe, and one has walls of comic books. And we're not talking about just like, your 90s, dollar books. They have those, a lot of them, but they have books that, I mean, we're talking great Silver Age books. So if you're like a real collector, go there. And you get 10% off if you say that Thompson's Comic Corner sent you there. Go do it. You can buy $1,000 book, get 10% off. I just saved you $100, and all you had to do is listen to my voice. That's a pretty good deal. And then
That's not
lastly, I
bad.
have a yeah, and then lastly, I have a new sponsor, which is Dubby Energy. I look for zero sugar energies. Like we don't drink sugary beverage. Well, my kid does, but that's besides the point. He's young. We drink like the zero sugar pops and the zero sugar energy drinks. Well, I do. Well, I found this one and I really like their clean energy. It doesn't have like a bunch of shit in it, and you know what I mean? It's not a monster. Monsters, uh, getting off my soapbox. But anywho, if you use my code TCC 2025, that's when the show started, you get 10% off of your complete purchase, which is kind of cool. And I kind of get like a little kickback from it. So, help me by helping you, you know what I mean? So that's it. That's the sponsors. That was the first segment that I've ever done that, and it went really well. So now I have my podcast. Now, for the people that may not have listened to when we did the John Byrne Fantastic Four, uh, four issues that we did, which was really fun, which made me buy the John Byrne omnibus, which at the time of this recording, it's going to be here tomorrow. Um,
Cool.
where can people find you? And please plug the hell out of your show because I actually enjoy it, so I want more people to listen to it.
That's very kind of you to say. Look for the Iron Age of comics on, all the every place but YouTube, right? Any place else you get your podcast, it should be up on there. We're a show about comics from 1985 to 2000. That includes the book that we read today. One of these days, we're going to do this book again on the show, and I'll have done a whole bunch of research, and my co-host Jim will have done a bunch of research, and we'll have all sorts of like that cool behind the scenes stuff one of these days. But now I know what I'm in for going into that one day. But
Yeah.
yeah, please
Now,
listen
oh,
to
go
it.
ahead.
I I think it's a good show. So if I think it's a good show, and I got high standards, so I think you'll all I think you'll all like it.
Oh, and you like my show with your high standards? Let's go. We do the bare minimum here. Just saying, it's the bare minimum. I do a lot of, so I don't do like a lot of promoting. Like I don't pay to promote and I don't like beg people to like listen to the show, but like a word of mouth has actually like helped me a lot. And
Yeah,
like,
that's that, that's that's more valuable than anything, right?
yeah, and like Blue Skies helped. And like I've actually gotten so behind the scenes, I can't tell you the creators that we have at this moment, but there are like some big time creators that I've actually like got emails back from. No shit, I know, shocker. And
Great.
yeah, and big things are coming from my show, and I'm still not going to edit, so this is like live. Like, it may be recorded, but it's live. Like we mess up, it happens. It's staying because I'm not editing it. So that's what makes my show so much fun. And I try to keep it condensed. So like with that being, folks, tell Justin here bye because we're wrapping her up. I thought that was funny.
Bye. Bye.
So again, I just want everybody to, have a great day and thank you for listening to the show, whether that be on YouTube, Spotify, or Outworld Fleet Radio. Remember, listen every Thursday and Tuesday. So as I always say, you guys have a great day and peace out, Cub Scouts.